and we don't know what to do with him. So it was like in the evening, so we drove all the way to Edmonton, and we went to, doctor said, that's nothing. He said, we'll just put a corset on you to hold it in. It wasn't dangerous, but we didn't know.
It was gas.
Yeah, and he had, his intestine was so close to the edge. So since then, they've done a surgery to put a gunshot mesh from here to here to keep everything in, and he's not using his corset anymore. But I mean, it's a learning process because you don't know.
Yeah. It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's not
the first shot, because then all the throat tube damaging. I used to get sleep apnea. I thought I had heart attacks, and it was crazy.
How's your health today, Paul?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty
Well,
good.
he had open heart surgery 7 months ago, so
Exactly.
it's much better now.
I broke her out of heart.
Yeah.
What was wrong with your heart?
Completely blocked.
Oh, really?
He had a bad cold, and we went to the doctor in the States. And it's like the doctors here. The cardiologist was really concerned about his valves. He said he's got 2 valves that were constricted at 45%. He knew he had valve issues because he had rheumatic fever when he was a child. That wasn't an issue. But when you get pneumonia or you get a really, really bad cold, it affects your heart. So the one OMG doctor says he's got a deep lung infection. The cardiologist said he's got valve problems. So one thing led to another. They told us to come home. So we did. They put him in to have an esophageal echocardiogram. The camera in there? Okay, well, by now, we're a month, this was February 14th. We're a month after his cold, and he's fine. When they put the camera in, there was nothing wrong with his valves. Nothing wrong. That wasn't wrong.
Well, they were leaking a bit, but he
The
said
same
nothing.
thing that was wrong 5 years ago. It was no big deal. So anyways, him and I get this, we're going to go back to the States. Like, what the hell are we staying in the winter? I mean, it was snowing like this. I was shoveling every day, and I'm thinking, I don't need this. So anyways, he had an angiogram booked for the Wednesday. This was a Friday. He had an angiogram booked for a Wednesday. So I called the cardiologist. I said, does Paul have to have this? They said his valves are fine. And he didn't have high blood pressure. He does not have diabetes. He doesn't have any cholesterol problem. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. So what could be wrong? Nothing. They give him an angiogram. He comes out of there crying his eyes out. I said, what the hell? He says, I'm 100% blocked. 180, 70, there was nothing in his heart that wasn't blocked.
What's that?
It was all bypassed.
It was bypassing itself, but I mean, there was nothing in his heart that wasn't plugged. So
Oh my God.
the doctor says, we went to see the surgeon, and the doctor says, well, this was in the middle of March. The doctor says, well, we're going to try and get you in for the end of May. And most of you know me well enough to know I'm not going to keep my mouth shut at that point, correct? So this nice looking doctor, I mean, a very, very yummy looking doctor.
That's how I got it.
Here's the problem, Dr. Nagandran. My husband is not overweight. He does not smoke. He does not drink. He eats healthy. He goes to the gym. He's got no diabetes, no cholesterol problem, no high blood pressure. So he's going to be put in the back burner, isn't he? If he was fat and overweight and had a heart attack, you'd be putting him in right now.
Yeah.
He says, Lorraine, it seems like that, but it's not true. So Monday morning, I said, Paul, call the doctor's office and see when your surgery is. So he calls the Lori. He says, Lori, has Dr. Nagandran booked my surgery? She says, no, he hasn't. But I'll talk to him. Wednesday, he calls Lori again. He says, Lori, has Dr. Nagandran booked my surgery? She says, no, but I'll talk to him today. Friday afternoon, he says, she calls Paul, be in the hospital at noon on Sunday. We're doing surgery Monday.
Wow.
Lucky she.
Yeah.
Well, I don't believe that he should be punished for looking after himself.
Yeah.
So it worked out good that way. So he had surgery done.
Good for you.
Here we are. So he had a triple bypass and 2 valves changed.
You're going to be a new member.
Well, yeah, but there's a pig valve and a cow valve.
Yeah, he's got a big valve and he's registered for both. I said, when I called for the registration, because they made a mistake on his phone number, I said, is the pig registered or is Paul registered? Like, who's registered here? Because he's got a serial number. A serial number for the pig valve and a serial number for the cow valve.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that, because what happened is when he was in the hospital, I brought him some little pigs. Because he's like, now he's a pig. He loves bacon, so now he's a real pig. So anyways, I brought him some little pigs, and the doctor says, well, Paul, she'll have to buy you a cow because you've got one of each. I did not know that. Yeah.
That's why you should eat bacon, because pigs never get sick.
It's funny.
Yeah. No, it ended up being good. Yeah.
It ended up being a pretty good life.
After all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got inducted to the.
Pardon me?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You went back to work after, didn't you?
A little
Yes.
bit, yeah.
After the electrocution?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
It's safety, and I passed time at the golf course, cutting grass, managed the ski area here.
Ski hill,
Yeah.
Ski
Yeah.
hill.
Yeah.
ski hill.
Yeah.
Paul, do you remember the day that you sent me up to check at the lift because the kids were starting to fall off at the end of the afternoon?
Oh, yeah?
And it was very cold. So I did go up to pick up the kids as they were falling. And you came to check at the end, the whole thing, and we all went back in the chalet. And then I said to you, man, I was cold up there. My feet are frozen. Remember what you told me? Nah, my feet are fine. It's not that cold.
That's funny.
He didn't recognize you, and
I
I
know
know
I'm
it.
old now.
Well, since he's had surgery, his mind is very, very, very lost. He has a hard time.
I aged too.
And
But you know, Paul, that was a lesson to me of positive. You know how you looked at life then.
And it was a lot of fun, too. I had a lot of fun doing that job, and we did great.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
But you know, all those jobs, like working at the golf course, cutting grass, and working at the ski hill, and now he presently still works for Ballard Construction. All of that is mind healing for a person who is disabled. Because I know Dr. Tredget, when he left the hospital, he said, Paul, if you're going to do anything in life, do it now. Don't go home and start weeping. So when he got home, he was home. He was discharged from the hospital in first week of January. No, he was discharged from the hospital just before Christmas. And the hospital told him they would not hold his bed till the 15th of January because compensation wouldn't pay for it. I can't remember the whole story. He says, well, I don't want to come back here. He says, don't have to hold the bed for me. I don't want to come back here. So we got back the 15th of January to Edmonton. We rented a suite, and he was an outpatient for the next 3 weeks. And the doctor in the Glen Rose wanted him to drive. Needless to her, she didn't know he already had been driving because he was doing it with me. So they give him a driving lesson for a week, and they discharged him, and they sent him home the
Not
first
that,
week in
3
February.
days.
I know, but in February, and then he started working back for Ballard, working into, helping out with the crews by the end of April, correct?
Yeah.
So he started right away. He did Ballard for a while, but it was a lot of driving. There was no crews locally. So then he started working at the golf course
Yeah, in Eaglesham. Yeah.
in Eaglesham, and then after that to the ski hill. So all of that really, is a real booster for your morale when you're in a position like he is. And like even now to this very day, he's got paperwork to do, and he can sit and do nothing all day, but he's got the option to do something if he chooses, because
I
there's
just
only
do
so much he
paperwork,
can
that's
do,
what I do.
right?
I do audits at home, night, afternoon, whatever I feel like it.
Yeah.
And they treat me awesome.
So when did you write this book?
I started, I think, about 2 years ago.
Yeah. Because the first one came out in
This spring.
the spring, yeah.
What's the title of the first?
Pardon me?
The title of the first one.
Oh, no, that's it.
That's
it.
That's the only one, yeah.
Oh,
Then the
yeah.
first one
First
came
him.
out.
The first book was brought to him, the beginning of,
Okay,
And the
okay.
title means, like, even if you're having a bad day, crappy day, the sun always shines above the clouds.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
And when the editor seen that, Rodney Miles, he said, that's the name of your book.
Wow.
A lot of good things have happened. I was inducted in the Power Lineman Hall of Fame.
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool. Because I did some public speaking too, and safety. And
Do you speak to go visit or speak to burn victims at all?
I used to,
We belong to the society where we had to go do training on how to talk to, as things, we belong to them, but we haven't been asked for a long time, because I think